Welcome to our galley.
Gave up on working on the exterior of the boat, but this is the gel coat that came out of the mold. Moved back to the inside where I wanted, where this is kind of needed. I needed a break again from working on that, and this seemed like the perfect way to do it. Galley, how we've kind of laid it out and what we're going for, kind of the ideas. Over here, start on this side. I did finally get this into place. Jess and I have talked about refrigeration as to what we're going to go with. It's been a subject that we've gone over 100 times. What's going to be most convenient, what's made currently. We wanted something that's going to be pretty efficient, and we wanted something that was going to be lightweight, the overall weight of the system. Now, the most common thing and what you're seeing on most catamarans now are those big stainless drawer systems. Really convenient, nicely set up, but they're incredibly heavy. Average weight is like 150 pounds for those things, each one of those units. And so that adds up rapidly. What we've gone for is a little bit different. We're going with a conventional door here. So a system like that. And the Vitrifrigo, the brand that we ended up going with, which is what we've used on Elements, what we used on Serendipity as well, so it's something we're very familiar with. The Vitrifrigo unit that we're going with is a 5.1 cubic foot all fridge. There's no freezer in this unit. We wanted that because the freezer that they typically put in these things are really, really tiny anyway. So not the most useful thing just in general. And by having it all one unit or having it all fridge, it maximizes that space and makes it the most usable type of setup. So that thing is gonna go right here. Beautiful stainless steel thing. Jess will show some cool photos of it, but it is a very nice unit. That is gonna go right into here. In this area, since again, this is just a refrigerator, we're actually going to do a drawer that's going to come out here. This will be part of that drawer actually itself, but we'll pull out. And in that, we're using one of the Vitrifrigo freezers as well. Now, we did look at using a all-in-one unit, or one of those units that they sell now for people that take camping or whatever with them. A great setup, but they are fairly heavy. Even the size that we're looking for is about 60 to 70 pounds for that type of setup. The Vitrifrigo one that we got, it's a unit that's designed to be dropped into a countertop that you would do as a retrofit type of thing. And with that, it doesn't have a fancy exterior on it. It doesn't have the stainless steel interior, which both things end up adding quite a bit of weight. With this unit, it ends up bringing it down to that 30-something pounds. So it's a very lightweight setup. It still uses the C Corp or whatever they're calling it now. They still use that same Danfoss compressor, the BD35. So same thing that we're having here. Something, again, we're very familiar with for that unit. And it's the most usable space for the amount of space it takes also. Because the compressor is a separate unit, I'm able to mount the compressor in the aft area, or the inboard area here, on a drawer that's going to slide out. You'll be able to access it from the top then, and then just slide it back in, and it'll just look like the normal cabinet front. So you just don't see it. But one of the things we really liked about it was the fact that that compressor is movable. So I can mount it on the drawer itself, but it also maximizes the ventilation. Since it's not encased within that the normal plastic that you have in some of those portable units, it gets a little bit better ventilation. And what we're gonna do is through this wall here, I haven't cut it out yet, but we're gonna have a duct set up that allows when the compressor is running or when the temperature rises, once that temperature gets up to something that's a little bit high, it will turn on a fan, pull through this area, which will have the compressor for the refrigerator, and vent out up here. So it's going to eliminate a lot of that problem that you typically have on boats, where the refrigerators have poor ventilation or they're using just passive ventilation. This is going to be an active setup with that fan that helps draw that air through. And on Elements, it made a huge difference having that fan run and keeping that compressor low. The compressor ran less, it was happier. All things with electronics were much, much happier. So we figured that's going to be a simple way to do it as well with this. With that freezer unit, it only goes up to about this height. So on top of that's going to be some additional storage. Over here, of course, will be additional storage as well then. We're most likely going to have a drawer in one of these as well because of the depth of this. This is a very, very deep cabinet. We want to be able to, of course, access everything or be able to access everything. So we should be able to put a drawer in here, 2 drawers here, a false front for, that's going to be wood that will look like a drawer there because, of course, that is where now my tool storage, where that is.
Oh, that's going to be food storage.
Yep. On this side, we're gonna have the sink here, which we have that drain that runs through here and out this, so that will all run to that same piping, that same plumbing in there. It's gonna be a tilt out for our trash, which is what we're used to. It's the way we kind of like it on these setups. On this side, we hope that we're gonna be able to install our dishwasher. We ended up buying one recently just to kind of test it out to see what we thought of it. It's something that we've wanted for a long time on a boat. Now that we'll have the power and hopefully the water capacity to be able to use it, dishwasher should be going right in here, which will be under the cupboards then. And then right on this end, Jess is going to go over that and explain how that's going to be all laid out.
One of the great things I absolutely love about us building this catamaran ourselves is that we can make the spaces fit the items. So normally you're set with a specific space and you're like, okay, I need to choose from items that are going to work within that space. With us, we choose the items and now we can build around it. So we have made a custom space for our convection oven here, and we probably would have held off on buying one until later, but I started getting those mail order meal kits. I didn't have any kind of oven, which most of them require, so I asked Matt if we could get it early, kind of test it out too. And as we're trying to fit it in the galley, we don't really want stuff sitting out. We want everything to have its place. So our convection oven will always sit in this space here. There's not going to be anything above it, but what we're going to have is a door that drops down. We were talking about having a drawer that slides out, but it's really not necessary. So this will always be in here. And you might be thinking, well, it's going to get really hot. Are you going to set the boat on fire? Isn't it going to be too much for that space? But this is, again, how we're customizing everything around it. So we did the research, and you need 6 inches of clearance above your oven for ventilation. So we did the shelf just at the right height that we're getting 6 inches above it, and there's a lip here that hangs down, so it actually goes up a little bit further inside there. What you can't really see right now is there's already a little bit of a vent at the back of this space because there's an opening for where the door is going to be sliding in and out to go down the companionway into the guest hull. So we have that. On the other side of here, if you can see this large hole, we're also going to be having a fan there, which is this guy here.
Oh, that's max. 155. 175. My life is metric now. The goal, of course, is to get this as high as possible to get that warm air out of this area. But we haven't 100% decided on what we're going to do for the countertop and how much of an overhang we're going to have. So I don't want that to impact it. I'm going to come down here and do 1 inch down as the top part of this. There is the top of our cutout. 190. I'll probably keep it in line with this.
Okay.
Just, I think that will help visually.
Bam! Totally unobtrusive.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
No, I mean, really, it's especially on a white background, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I think once that's white and not hanging like that, and once it actually has a little bit of an overhang from there, I don't think it's gonna stand out too bad.
No. So a nice large size, and with the back of it, it's gonna be connected with a snap thermostat. So what's going to happen is when the space in here gets up to 100 degrees or more when the oven is running, this will automatically turn on and it will keep running until that space cools down to about 85 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is what should be keeping the space cool all the time, shouldn't have any issues, but of course, not everything works on boats 100% of the time. So you might be asking yourself, well, what if the fan fails? And the thing is, we're not worried about this space catching fire. The nice thing is with the materials that we've used to build in here, again, there's no plywoods or anything. The foam is flame retardant. The glass that we use is not going to catch fire, and the vinyl ester resin we use is flame retardant as well. So we don't have to worry about this space going ablaze if the fan isn't working and temperatures go too high. The only thing that we do have to worry about is the foam potentially distorting and like getting wavy and ripply if it gets too hot, which is going to be around 175, 200 degrees. So right now we're going to do a test with the holes cut out. If the fan went running, at least it still has that ventilation there. But we want to know that if that were to fail, that this area is not going to heat up enough that we have to worry about the distortion of the foam. So we're going to plug it in. Normally when I run this, it's about 375 to 425 degrees Fahrenheit at like a max of 25 minutes. So we're going to set that as the test for it and see what kind of temperatures this gets up to.
I'm going to set this to bake.
Bake.
Set the temperature to 425. And let's hit start.
And it takes forever to preheat.
Yeah, so it's right now, we actually have it on a 30-minute cycle, not the 25 just was mentioning. We're going to try just a little bit above that just to see actually what happens with this. And for the test, we're going to use our infrared heat gun just to kind of monitor the temperature of this surface, which we know gets hot. Monitoring the temperature up here to see what that actually does. We've tested this previously, and on this exposed area here, there's no venting and there's really no heat at all along this, which is good because with this Nata core, it doesn't handle the heat as well as actually the foam does. So it was kind of all planned when we were setting this up for the foam to be on this and this side.
While we're waiting for the oven to heat up a little bit, I wanted to go over a little bit more detail the shelving space, because as Matt was just saying, it's going to be storage here, but got some kind of cool plans too, I think, for what's going to go in here. As Matt has mentioned and shown, the bottom part here is a slide out drawer. Again, it won't be tools, it will be food. And then above here will be, you can see we've got a couple of drawers. So what we were thinking, especially since we have, oh my gosh, all of that depth, is to have the top one pull out, and then we'll have a little peg so that we can have our dishes fit within there, so we'll have to have them beforehand. And then the bottom one can be silverware for that first, however long it takes, 10 inches, and then behind it will be utensils. I think that will be great for us too on passage. Hopefully with the catamaran, our dishes won't quite rattle around like they did on our monohulls, but just having a secure place for each of them to go, I think is gonna make me feel a lot better. And that way you're not like wasting all of this height in shelves where you're just stacking plates where you have a ton of height, not much depth. So I'm excited about that. Preheat just stopped, we're ready to start it. So let's just do a quick beginning test. Up above, we are seeing 99 degrees, nice. Top of this, of course, gonna be a bit warmer, 154. All right, let's hit that start. I don't know why it smells like pizza. It smells really good.
Because it's all the crap that hasn't never been cleaned off there.
All right, we've got 10 minutes down. Let's see how much it is heating up inside now. All right, up above, we're seeing about 113, so it is getting warmer. We're still within that safety net. The top of the oven itself is almost 180 degrees, so it's a good thing that all of that isn't going to go to the top tube. One of the things I didn't mention before is that this cupboard here where our oven is going to sit is going to get covered in a reflective foil, so hopefully that will keep all of the heat within this space out from the foam, which again is the part that we're worried about. We're worried about distortion, and that way it will blow out then through the fan in the back. Another quick test, about 2/3 of the way through now. Top of it is 123, so still within that safety zone, even though the top of the oven is 180.
So that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed.
Nice.
Okay, 10 minutes to go, and so far we're not worried about all of the foam just melting away. Countdown is over. We've done our 30 minutes at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's take a temperature. And the max it's getting to is 129 degrees Fahrenheit, so we are still well within that range of the safety for the foam. It's not going to overheat and melt this area. Again, that's without the reflective surface on here. That is without the fan running. So worst case scenario, if we're cooking in here, we are still going to be okay. We don't have to worry about anything. So that is an A in my book. I cannot wait to start cooking on this. But just to show you what a fan would do if it weren't here, we're gonna use, this is a little bit larger, but our DeWalt fan. Watch how quickly it will cool the surface down. Okay, so I'm gonna start blowing some cold air in here.
So that is the lowest setting. Set it on the ground.
Okay.
Just point it up.
Lowest setting. And let's take the temperature up here now. 122, already a drop of 8 degrees in just a few seconds. 117. So we've already gone down a lot in there just by having this on for about 30 seconds at its lowest setting. And 111, so 1 minute with the fan on low, we've already dropped about 20 degrees. Cool, I'm excited.
Since we are going to need to have a vent for the refrigerator and freezer that's going to come up on our countertop, we're looking for something that fits in the space well, is attractive, and not obtrusive. So if you have any suggestions or ideas of what we should put here, make sure to put that in the comments down below with styles that you like. If you have links to anything that you already know of, we would love to hear your opinions on what we should do in this area.
Your